Well, all right, here we are. We are now live, everyone. And again, we see people in the live chat from YouTube. So great to have you guys here. And at any time, feel free to ask questions. We're not going to be on too long tonight. Um, yeah, I was going to do something yesterday, but I was actually a little too tired to do it. And plus, everyone else was busy. So it kind of worked out better that way, I guess. So yesterday, but I
Yeah.
was actually a little too
Uh-oh.
tired to do it.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay. I was about to blame Jimmy. No, I'm just joking.
I always forget when I log in
I hear
here,
you.
turn my video down.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Who's this? All right. We got Glenn Mayer from hello from the woods of Truman Lake, Missouri, and then Marie and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Sousa?
Yeah, Susan. Yeah. Hey, from just outside of Boston. All right.
Ooh, that's on my bucket list. I want to go to Boston. I want to
It's
have
really.
clam chowder, and I want to have lobster.
Oh yeah. I tell you what. Anywhere up in there in the state of Massachusetts, you'll get a good fish and chips and a good
Mm-hmm.
any kind of good food, seafood up there.
I do.
Um, but I tell you what, Boston. I've been to Boston. My parents took me and my brother to Boston Harbor when we were little. You know, we took the train from where we lived on the east side of Mass, but I mean the western side of Mass, and it was a nice ride out there, and it was pretty cool though to see like the stones. I mean the streets made out of stone, which was pretty cool, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the police on on Mountie police. They're on horseback, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's
Uh,
good.
all right, and we also have the Lost Cryptids Conservatory.
The
All
lost
right,
cryptids.
I know that name. I just can't think who that is.
Who
I've
are
heard it
you?
before. So, all right. Oh,
What are
by
we
the
gonna?
way, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what was our topic for tonight? Did we have a specific topic?
Not particular. However, one thing I was going to make mention of something that Bobcat Wong. Well, he was kind of talking about it yesterday. And oh, real quick, there's Baltimore. I've been trying to get a hold of Baltimore all day. I sent him the link. So, Baltimore, if you're listening, you want to jump in? I sent you the link. um, the platform that we use here, and I know Pat uses the same one, and I know Nikki, you do, and Jimmy,
Mm-hmm.
I think you do too. You use StreamYard?
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing that was brought up to me, and I knew it was available. I just didn't know how to do it. But if you're looking on your screen when you're on your side, there is an option under settings to do the green screen.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the reason why Bobcat was playing around with it. Well, Mr. Jeff Wren, for those who know, he's from Pennsylvania. I don't really follow him, but he's got he was doing a green screen effect, and he was holding two Mountain Dew cans up, and it was reflecting an image that wasn't in his house. So I was looking at the live chats under his YouTube video, and people they thought like that was the strangest thing. Where could that be coming from? Is that someone? Is that from another zone or portal where someone might be watching you from? So I actually responded to those comments. I said, no, I have the same platform. It's a green screen effect, and it's one of the images you can use to set your background. And so I got on here earlier today, and I was actually messing around with it. And I don't have no green backdrop except for my what do you call it? My blanket on my bed. It's neon green, and it's got camouflage on it. And anyway, so I tried that. It worked a little bit, and I was messing around with it. I said, this is pretty cool. So but yeah, I know Bobcat, and here he is. So yeah, I know Bobcat is ordering himself a regular green screen backdrop.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah,
Hi.
and then eventually I'm going to do that as well. So, and that way you could upload your own images to use in the background. Hey Jimmy, excuse me, Bobcat. I was just talking about the green screen effect, and how you brought it to my attention, and why you brought it to my attention. And I was actually bringing it up. I actually mentioned Jeff Friend's name. See, look, he's already using it. Look at
Oh
that.
my goodness.
There you go. Wow. That's
Whoa.
Look, I'm tapping into another dimension, y'all.
It's a portal. It's a portal.
It's
Good
a
job.
portal. That is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, StreamYard's got a pretty cool effects and everything, and so yeah, that's something. I think Nikki, even if you're on the free option of it, you could probably still use it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just you'll have to go on the settings.
Mm.
So actually, let me try something. Let me turn my camera on real quick, and I'm not sure if it'll still. Yep, here it is. It just pulled up for me. Green screen. No, I'm not sure how well this will work because I don't have nothing behind me, so it probably won't work too well.
I mean, none of this should be a surprise to people. Were people really like actually saying Bobcat?
They
like,
were believing it. Yeah.
They thought there was something weird going on when in 2020 when we have Snapchat filters and kitty cat faces on people like. I mean, this technology's out there. It's used every day. I mean, I can't believe people were really thinking that was odd.
Yeah, they were. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hear you fine.
Yeah.
Okay. They were actually telling him that he tapped into another realm. Like people were actually telling him that like he was seeing somebody else's living room.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, in today's world.
And this is the living room that they were seeing right here.
Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Right. Again, I mean, we have Snapchat filters. We have all kinds of filters where you can, people can make themselves look like cats, like on video, on TikTok, on Snapchat. And
even our old format with Google Plus used to have things where you could put hats on you and do all kind. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I mean this technology has been around for a while, and it's only gotten better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it is weird. It's weird to see a girl on TikTok with a kitty cat face, and it's like it's freaky looking. Like, but I mean, this stuff exists. It's around. I just can't believe that people were actually reacting to that. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, and he was going with it too. He was telling people, he was putting up 2 pop cans to the screen, and he was telling people, he says, "What the hell?" He says, "I got some paranormal going on." He was actually saying that he has ghosts in his house, and he thinks that he's tapping into another realm. And
that's just trolling, dude.
He made $35 in less than 8 minutes. 2 people gave him $35.
Wow.
Right, donos. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, that's just trolling as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if we all turn our green screen effects, maybe we could all each make money too.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh my.
I mean, it's just kind of weird. I don't know.
It is weird. Hey, Matt. Hey, Harold. She Squatchers are on. Jen, one of the Jens. I don't know who.
Most likely that is Jen Cruz. I think she's the one that usually responds. It could be any of them, but I'm pretty sure that's probably Jen. So they like to be, they like to remain elusive. So.
Taylor Cook's on. Hey, Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor wants me to come down to North Carolina some weekend. I told him, I said, I definitely want to do that. Get together, do some. They want to get out and do some Bigfooting together. So he was chatting with me the other day. So, yeah. So I just have to plan things out and get things figured out. And here's Harold telling me, "Hey Daniel, I can't use Messenger until about March 20th, as I am once again in timeout on Facebook."
Oh, Harold, what did you do? What?
Yeah.
What did you do? I
won't say it out loud. I said it. I thought I mentioned it to you guys off air the other day. Yeah. Here's Bobcat again.
He popped out.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I had the.
Oh, go ahead. Since you already interrupted me. No, I'm picking Bobcat.
Sorry about that. I had to. I had to take my green screen off because it was affecting it was freezing.
Mm.
Oh. Okay.
It was affecting my speed.
Well, yeah. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, while the She Squatchers are on here, I want to make mention also through they had posted a link for their website. They are actually on tour. They'll be doing they usually do every year. They will be touring from coast to coast. Speaking at different conventions, you can go to their website. They actually have a link for it. And you can see everywhere. If you want to follow the She Squatchers, you can follow them at different conventions. They will be attending throughout this year, 2020. So there's a lot of excitement going on this year. I know a lot of us are excited for our June event. And I tell you what, Jimmy is hosting his third annual event. Jimmy, if you don't mind, you want to tell us a little bit about that and let everybody know the dates and location for that.
As of right now, the location is not, down, but
Okay.
the date is set for September the 5th. So, and I've got Daniel, who's going to be one of my speakers this year, finally, and and let's see. We've got the Hendersons coming from Tennessee. They're a great group of people, great family. Me and Marcella think highly of those guys. They were at our con last year. They actually set up to be vendors and got to talking to them, and they did their own research in Bigfoot and Dogman, which is very interesting. So be good to have those guys along. And I've got Jody Cook from the North American Dogman Project going to be with us this year.
Okay. Cool.
Jody's also another Bigfooter also, but he mainly deals into the Dogman phenomenon. I'm pretty sure I'll probably miss a couple more people. Tracy Arnold. I've got Tracy down. Tracy's going to be with us this year. I'm excited to have Tracy along. And a couple more folks I've asked. I'm just waiting to get confirmation from them. But as soon as I get everything pinpointed down, I'll be sure to put it out for everybody.
And what region is it in? I mean, what location?
It's in Kentucky, southeast Kentucky.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I was going to make mention of if you're looking for more vendors, I'll tell you a good one to have, which they'll be at my event. What is it? Squatchgear.com. I believe they're from out of Tennessee. They were actually, I first met them. They were actually set up at the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival back in October. And yeah, that should be. They have a good variety of different Squatch gear shirts and styles and designs. One thing they're doing for me this year, since for those who remember when I had the fundraiser for our Bigfoot shirts, well, they agreed to do a design, our logo, to sell at their own profit. I figured it'd be an easy way to get our shirts put out there and help represent, since they're going to be selling them, and so people will have another opportunity to buy event T-shirts through them. And again, we're not taking no profit on it. It's totally under them. They just agreed. I just have to send them the logo, but I'm waiting for all those who are sponsoring to send me their logos. I know Marcella is supposed to get me a logo. Since Marcella is using her logo to sponsor. So as soon as I get that, because I also have banners I need to start making, and there's one of the banners is going to have all the sponsors on it. So I'm working on that.
Folks really don't know how much work goes into these conferences, man. It is, sometimes you just want to pull your hair out, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it can be very chaotic sometimes. So you're trying to get everything in order, and keep up with everybody. I mean, I got notepads with stuff written down. I got it I got to add everything into my computer because what I do, I keep a file on my computer which I'll end up printing out later. And so because I with our event, we have a large response so far for our event, and because I have almost in a few different groups and pages, I created an event invite on each of those, and each of those are getting different responses. So the main one has over 600 and almost 670. One has over 500 something responses, and the other one had 250 something responses. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully it works that well. I mean, I would love to see a massive crowd this year. This event has been growing and growing each year. So,
yeah,
and we got some good people backing us and supporting us this year. So that's awesome. We lost Bobcat out again. So, hold on, my notifications popping up. Let's see what the Sheet Squatchers were mentioning here. She said, our first event this year is the Yakima Valley Bigfoot Conference in April. The Washington State is so beautiful. I have yet to get over that way. I never been to the West Coast before. I never have.
It's the Yakima.
Yakima. Okay. What did I say? Yakima?
Yeah.
I'm making it sound Japanese. Yakima. All right, Jim the Explorer. He's actually asking do we do tree knocks? I do. I've actually gotten responses from tree knocks. It doesn't always happen, but I have gotten responses. So, absolutely.
I think I've done it, but I wasn't ever expecting to hear anything back. I think we were just fooling around. It's just, yeah.
I'll never do it again.
Yeah, I bet.
I'll never do it again, man.
What kind of response did you get, Pat?
Yeah. Well, just like Nikki was saying, it was like goofing around, and I was too. I was being goofy and just kind of showing off or whatever. And yeah, I didn't like what happened after doing that. I'll just say that it wasn't. That's when I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near them ever again. It's not. It's intrusive. It's not. I just don't want to have anything to do with it, like at close range. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it was from goofing off, just like Nikki said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'll never invite that in my life ever again.
You sound a lot like I don't know if you were familiar with Steve Isdall from howtohunt.com, but his whole
I'm very familiar with him.
Yeah, his whole thing about he wants to be out there for the people who have had bad experiences,
right?
And don't know how to tell anybody or are afraid to tell people because they're laughed at or put down or not believed. And that's pretty much what his whole basis of his channel has become.
No, I know. I know a lot about Steve, but I would say, Wes Germer's kind of cornered the market on that whole landing platform for people
to tell their stories.
Not ever have to face ridicule. Wes has been doing that a long time. Obviously,
right.
He's up to 650 episodes now. So probably 1,500 to 2,000 encounters,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't worry about ridicule so much. I don't care what people think, my friends are kind of interested in it, oddly enough. Like, they're smart enough to not ridicule me about it because I'll start waving my finger. I'm like, look,
I don't think it's as bad as it used to be, but I think in the last 5-6 years, people have become more open to the idea that there's something out there.
Yeah.
It seems like I've seen a shift from when, like in 2010, it was still, you talk about it and people were like, oh, no, that's not out there. Or they would laugh or, shrug you off. So it's changing.
It is, and I can't say I've ever been ridiculed for it. I've been met with skepticism, of course, which is fair. I think skepticism's fair. There's, people don't know a lot about these things, and of course, once you start talking about it, or if you approach it with the confidence of, hey, it's 100% legit phenomenon, like it's inarguable, right? It's inarguable that phenomenon is real. They have no answer to that. They can't just say, oh, it's bear. Well, it's like, okay, well, if it's bear, then why are people having mass hallucinations? Like that's the only thing that explains it's a bear.
Right. That just doesn't happen. I mean, that.
No, of course
there's
not.
too many people with the same encounters, same stories, and too many of these people are credible, completely, utterly credible, whether they be part of the law enforcement or some type of forestry, something, that are out in the woods all the time.
And it's just
game hunters. All of them.
The sheer body. We now have tens of thousands of documented encounters. I mean, if all those people are lying, that's still a strange, bizarre phenomenon. A cult of liars,
Right.
So no matter which direction anyone ever tries to point in trying to like say, oh, it's just this or that, it's still a legitimate phenomenon no matter what. I just, I think there's a good starting point to try and explain the phenomenon, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the mention of the tree knocks. And one thing I want to add, I've shared this numerous times. One of my experiences with tree knocks, it was as far as I know, it was friendly. I mean, it was definitely I definitely got a response. I was with two other individuals middle of the day while exploring, going up on a low ridge. Well, I had a piece of it was actually a piece of firewood. It was a kind of a slim or slender piece of pine, and I use that to do tree knocks because in most of the research area, most of my area where I stay focused in, there is a lot of pines. Then you go into, you got some hardwoods in there, but after we were hiking and just got done climbing a hill, we got up there after trying to catch our breath. So I decided to pull out my piece of wood and do a tree knock. And coming from the opposite ridge that we just came from, looking back at it, down to my left, I got a response, and that was totally unexpected. And just to top it off, about 5 seconds so later, on that same little ridge, way up on the right, there was a response to that knock. So that was actually exciting. So it was basically the formation. It was almost like the points of a triangle. I was at the point of the triangle, and then you have one down to the left and one up both to the right. So, and to me, that kind of was like hey, I'm here, kind of thing. That's the way I took it,
Yeah. Were you excited to be surrounded?
Well, I didn't feel that I was surrounded, maybe watched or followed, but like I said, I wasn't alone. I had two other people with me. So, I mean, it was exciting. It wasn't scary, especially being in the middle of the daytime too, so.
Yeah.
Now, if that was at nighttime, that maybe perhaps I could have felt a little different, but I've actually gotten responses, not responses, but from a group of us sitting at our camp at night, we've had a tree knock that was so close to us, was so loud and hard, it brought my father out of the tent, so because my dad scuffled out of the tent, like I heard that, and so that was kind of exciting.
I've heard you tell that story before, and I believe you said it like your father was a little skeptical, even maybe open.
Yeah, but considering it was dead quiet, there was no wind and nothing, he was like, could that have been another limb breaking or just falling off and hitting down on another limb? That it could be a possibility, but that sounded like it had some major force behind it. the way I described that, it was as if I was, like somewhat, like me, I could take a Louisville Slugger with full force, swinging it up against the pine tree. Because I know at our camp we're surrounded by big giant pine trees, and I know across from camp right there, I walked in the thick brush back there. There is a lot of pines in there, and pine trees for some reason give off that bassy knock, boom.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a huge difference between what you're talking about, taking a baseball bat to a tree, and then as opposed to a tree branch breaking, which of course falls and makes more noise as it falls. You get all that brush sound and stuff. So trust me, I know, man. I've heard wood knocks, and I mean, you're right. It's just a knock.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I heard them for half an hour.
I'm gonna let any of you guys take a whack at this question here. What's your thoughts on Colorado Bigfoot? I don't follow him. If people share stuff to me from him, but I just don't really.
Is that Mark the Bell?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that is who's behind Colorado Bigfoot.
His area is extremely squatchy, and I lived in Colorado Springs for a while, so I know the Colorado area pretty well. Been up to the Castle Rock area, been Breckenridge, all that area, Vail, up and down the mountains there, and Cripple Creek, and it's extremely vast. I mean, anything can be up in there.
Yeah, Colorado.
And some of the structures in that area are huge. They're big, and there's no way any machinery or any person could lift or move these trees in those particular structures, the way they're made. It can't happen. You can tell they were put there. And so, although I think his area is extremely squatchy, like I said, and he's probably seen them, I'm not real convinced with any of his footage or his pictures.
Right.
I agree, Nikki.
Yeah, and then there's one in particular that I think is just absolutely not a Bigfoot. It's just a person. And I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about that looks like a hood, the one with the hood and the eyes like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Nick.
Yeah, it's just it looks like a guy in a hood and a thing over his face, a mask. But I mean, he seems to believe, everything he's capturing, and that's good on him. I stopped watching him after all those posts. After the portal post and the spiral thing he caught on video or picture, I don't know which it was. So I kind of stopped watching him. He also captured a picture of like a whole family supposedly sitting in a circle, and I didn't see anything there. They didn't look like a bunch of Bigfoots sitting around to me. But what do I know? So although I think his area has them, I don't like his pictures.
Well,
I kind of moved on.
Yeah, look at what Patrick McGuire says about him. He's referring to Colorado Bigfoot. He says he thinks he's like a god or something. I kid you not. Listen for yourself.
Yeah, I've heard comments like that. He supposedly quit all his jobs, and that's like what all he's doing now is just looking for Bigfoot.
If I may opine on that, he has a monetized YouTube channel. He has a merch bar down below the YouTube channel where you can buy his merch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with selling merch. I'm just saying that, the money factor is there. Whenever you involve money, you create the incentive to have more viewership, more subscribers. And I can tell you right now, there's just one video in particular where he films a supposed Bigfoot structure, and that's his complete narrative in the whole video. And it is clearly a man-made structure. TV
Yes,
out in the
I
woods.
agree.
And there are groups of people that do go out in the woods and even in remote areas and will build primitive structures for whatever reason, because they enjoy doing it, they're good at it.
Well, they build blinds for hunting, and they build fires, and I think he's made the comment that they built a fire ring.
Yeah, right.
Before, and you can clearly see it is not. That was totally man-made. It was not a Bigfoot made.
So in this particular video I'm talking about, I mean, he shows the big TV structure. It's clearly man-made, even just looking at it at a glance. But then he gets closer to it, and it has a header above the doorway, which is a human designed structure. We all have headers in our homes. Every door you walk through in your home has a header above it. And so it was so like blatantly obvious that it was a stretch to even suggest Sasquatch building human design structure.
Right.
And then that combined with the merch bar, it's like, okay, this guy he's making money.
Hey, Baltimore.
How you doing?
Just like you said, he quit his job, well, because he's monetized and he's making enough money off YouTube and merch, Yeah.
And I think personally, I think he's a hoaxer. I seen that TP myself, and I seen another structure which I knew what it was. I don't know if all of you guys have seen it too. He showed one time in one of his YouTube videos where, like, he shows this little square, like the square with all these twigs, and I knew what it was because my dad used to be a hunter, and I used to go out with him when I was a kid. It was it was basically just a hideout, just to kill deer.
A hunting blind, yeah.
A blind, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, by the way, hello Baltimore, hello Daniel, hello Pat, hello Nikki, and hello Jimmy.
Yeah.
Hey guys. Hey Baltimore, what's going on?
Oh, not much. You know me. just me being me.
But
on the live chat.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm just gonna make mention real quick of Jen Cruz said, "Hi Baltimore. Every time I talk to Jenna lately, she's telling me about her next to go squatching with you."
So, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'm real excited when Jenna's going to come up here. We're going to try some different techniques out here, and hopefully, when she leaves, she will not be disappointed. We have some stuff planned, and hopefully that will get us some real good vocals. And so that's Bigfoot has really been very active down here, and so I'm real excited about it. People now are starting to talk about it now. I mean, I'm real excited about it. So last week he was real close to my hometown and of Normanna area, and I'm really excited that somebody actually came up there and actually told the story about it. So he's really been very, very active out here. And more than likely, again, more than one is just the opportunity just to catch it, or audio or video or something. So that's all that we can hope for. Hey, I want that broadcast that we did Friday night. What did y'all think of that? I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought it went pretty good. It was definitely interesting.
Are you referring specifically to Kelly?
Right. What do you think about what was your opinion?
Man, he grabbed me by the collar right off the bat when he described a juvenile Sasquatch, or a teenage juvenile Sasquatch, perfectly, because I've had experience with somebody that had a very close encounter with one, that lasted a long time, and so me and my buddy, who's a artist, we spent 2 months fine tuning the details to get the right sketches made to visualize the thing. And Kelly, he nailed it, man. He just nailed it, like so fast too. His answers were so quick. I know it seems weird, it seems far fetched, and Kelly's an interesting dude, but like he had my attention right off the bat, and right now, I mean, I believe him. I believe him.
See, at first, I was, I was listening to him and everything like that, and I mean, we have there's sometimes you had heard other researchers tell these high-fetched stories, like they would actually see it every day and have these encounters with it every day.
Right.
But Kelly's encounter, I was listening to these stories, and again, he grabbed you and right away, and the way that he spoke, the way that he presented himself, I knew real well was real way out there. But if you really think about it, a lot of the stories that he said, the characteristics of this creature, he was dead on.
Dead on. He described it right off the bat, man, like spot on to what I would consider I know, just based on other people who have seen juveniles. I mean, no neck, big head, 2 Bigfoot's body, all that stuff, athletic, walked on its toes. I mean, it matches the illustrations that I made, 5 or 6, it was about 6 years ago.
Right. And even as far as the greasy hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it
rubbery.
Was wow.
Rubbery. Yeah. And, and every question I asked him, he responded to it immediately. He gave an answer. He didn't stop and think. He just gave an answer, and it seemed like the right one. Like, it definitely got my attention, and I've talked to Kelly since. He might even be watching right now, but yeah, it was pretty amazing, and I said it on the show that night, and I've said it since. I'll say it now. With this species, let's say it's a species, and human beings, statistically, Kelly's story should happen at some point, and more than once. So you're going to get that rare thing where a juvenile Sasquatch may be orphaned, and a kind of a kid who's free to do what he wants meet each other and have that type of encounter. Statistically, it should happen.
Right. And what he got me too was when he tried to bring his dog with him, and the dog never came. And again, I had same characteristics with my dogs when they would actually go into the woods and then come back, and they would like be cowered there on the porch. And my dog Spud is an awesome dog, and he's not afraid of nothing. And seeing that is like, man, there's definitely something out there. Even the climbing of the trees, what he was talking about. They
always on top of a pine tree.
Right.
I mean, that's
right, and even rubbing the tar on the fur, and basically that was a form of taking the insects from the body. That's another form of it. Even rolling into the mud, mud baths, that was a form of getting some of these parasites off the fur.
Yeah,
it was just fascinating.
Yeah, the only thing that really struck me as extremely odd and head scratching about everything he said was the building the fire. Like that's hard. That's really hard to wrap your head around, because I've never heard anyone in any encounter ever associate Sasquatch with fire.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one thing. Like when me and you were talking the other day there, Pat, about it. that's the one. That's part of just little things like that is why I was having a hard time grasping. Like I said, I'll be straight up and honest, and I want to believe him. I do. I want to believe him, but there's a lot of little things that were put in there, and I was like, it's hard for me to grasp at it.
I agree.
Okay, and some of it I think could have been just
I can't help
just a imagination,
maybe, but I can't help to actually look at the psychology behind it. And it's like, if you're gonna make up a Bigfoot, wild Bigfoot story like that, you kind of want to stick to all the talking points that are all about Bigfoot. And building a fire isn't one of them. So why ruin it by making up, like adding to the story of in saying there was fire involved? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense for him to make that up, because it goes way off the track of the Bigfoot narrative.
Right.
Well,
and go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna make mention. It's just, I know he kept describing the juvenile, the Bigfoot that he was encountering as Chaka, and from Land of the Lost, And I've watched different caveman movies. My favorite one is Clan of the Cave Bear with what's her name? The model. But where they learn how to they play around and they discover how to use fire, make fire by banging rocks or and making sparks and stuff and blah blah blah. I just, the thoughts of different movies, different things kept running through my head. I was like, is he getting it from this movie or that movie? That's what was running through my head. And again, I'm not trying to sound like a negative Nelly here, but
skepticism's good.
Be honest with my thoughts,
Yeah, but again, he said that this thing, that Stinky could make a fire better than him or better than most people he knew, or have ever known. Like, I don't know, I don't know why that would be,
But he said it like it happened all the time, and we don't have any other circumstances where anybody's ever claimed that they've found fires and related it to Bigfoot.
I agree. Nor lived in cars.
Don't you? Yeah,
that's
true. Don't you think we'd have more forest fires, even more than what we have now?
That's what I was thinking, because they don't know they don't have the sources to put a fire out.
Are they going to know
if it's too big?
Put dirt and water on top of that to put it out,
See, what he said about the fire building was he actually built a fire, and then I asked the question, how did he build it? I guess he rolled those sticks together, and I asked him if he had any wood to it, and he said it didn't. That he would actually add pine needles to it.
Yeah,
pine needles to it, and he knew that he was cold, and that's why he built it. When you do the fire with the sticks and you're rubbing the sticks together, your palm of your hands. There's sometimes that people put saliva or they actually put mud on it for that traction.
Yeah,
right.
To do that, and also too, there's also different methods of doing it. With the bow and everything like that. But this one was the old style that he described that he actually did, and he just blew me with
it's real primitive. Mm-hmm. Very primitive. The way he described it was very primitive.
Mm-hmm.
And he even elaborated, saying that he tried to do it himself, and wasn't very good at it, and Stinky would come in and try and show him how to do it. It's very bizarre. I mean, but the whole story is bizarre if you think about it. I mean, the fire isn't all that much more bizarre than just the whole experience that he said lasted 2 or 3 years.
Right.
a regular contact, you know. But
and as far as me, I think like he had me, but then once he got to the fire part, I was very skeptical about it. And me myself, I know that if a Bigfoot starts a fire, like first of all, are we talking about a ape like Bigfoot starting a fire? They wouldn't know how to start a fire. A more of a maybe a human hybrid Bigfoot that's more human and caveman. Now they would know how to do that, but it would have to be more like a caveman kind of person, kind of Bigfoot.
That's how he described Stinky. He said. I mean, he basically said Stinky was like sort of a wild man, like a caveman wild man. You know,
like Chaka.
Yeah, I mean, he described it that way, and who knows? I mean, maybe I'm just off the top of my head here. Maybe Stinky observed that and learned it, you know, somehow from watching humans. I don't know. You know, are Bigfoots making fires, you know, up in the remote areas where nobody is right now? Who knows? Because there's nobody around to observe it, right? Probably not, but I'm just speculating that maybe he saw how fires were made, and I don't know.
I gotta add something too. It's that's what makes this whole thing is just the beauty of the mystery and the story that it was told. Daniel, do you remember when I went to the conference and I showed you those pictures of that house?
Yeah.
Now, do you remember that little object that was found in that house that I showed you? That little clay pot. That was
okay. Yeah, you said it was some kind of old pottery.
It was a little pot. It was a pot, maybe like around this big around, and that was actually made from pottery. And then so the person that actually found it, actually when he examined it like something like a real hard clay, you know. And so apparently he believed that something that the creature actually made, and that's a little piece of pottery that he used. But what was it used for? Was it used for him gathering water or something like that? That's an artifact that they actually have here in a photo that actually found in a structure with in actually a house that actually Bigfoot made in Berkeley, Texas, 15 to 17 years ago. So I mean, there's a lot of questions that we have. You know, why are Bigfoot making pottery? Who in the hell heard of that? And lo and behold, this is found in a house that he made. But the thing is, again, that's what makes this creature so wonderful is the unknown, because we just don't know what he can do or what he's capable of.
Yeah, we have no idea what their capabilities are beyond the vast, the commonalities of the vast body of eyewitness encounters. You know, we know they're about 8 feet tall, big, athletic, strong, hairy, no clothes. You know, they're not purple. We know that. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like we really don't know anything other than basically what they look like and what they're capable of to some degree.
Right. I even had a story where there was some oilfield workers. It must have been like around 6 years ago that came upon something hairy that was actually using a stick as a digging tool. And they were actually the creature didn't know that they were there, so they were actually looking at the binoculars, and they were actually seeing this creature using this stick as a digging tool. You know, I could imagine what else they use. Well, again, we don't see them out there. We don't see them in their elements or what they can actually do.
No, the only thing we know about them is how they act when we are around. That's it, and that it can be completely different when we're not around. But how do we know that? Because we're around, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore. Jen's asking, is your area?
Here, down here, man, I don't even know what rain is. Yes, it's very dry in this area. So, and then right now, here is the beauty thing about it right now. Our wildflowers are blooming right now. We have our bluebonnet is blooming right now. This shouldn't be blooming until a few months. Spring has started early. Spring has really started early this year. So I mean, it's just totally fascinating right now. We have our wild oats growing. We have our right now. If you get a knife and actually cut a grapevine, you get water from it. You could actually drink it. The terrain. I mean, there's food is thriving right now here. So yeah, it's just like we just have an early spring.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
It's
pay
the same
attention
way
to
here
the different.
too.
Is the same thing down there?
Go ahead.
Jimmy?
Yeah, it's the same thing here. The Easter lilies are already blooming, and they usually don't start till the end of April.
Wow.
We've had other wildflowers, just like you were saying here in this area. I've noticed that the grapevine in this area cut into one the other day. I don't know what I was doing outside. I might have ran over it with something, and it had water in it. I mean, it's just crazy that the way the weather is doing these days. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Weather's been crazy,
Now,
but I can't say that I had an early spring in North Georgia.
Down there, you guys are getting snow in parts of Georgia, aren't you?
Hmm?
Yeah, Pat, you getting snow down there in Georgia?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, we had 4 inches of snow in my part of North Georgia.
Yeah,
and
because I know Melissa.
A little bit of snow the other day, but yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, because I saw some pictures from Melissa Adair. For those who know her, she lives in Georgia, and I'm not sure exactly what part, but I'm assuming she's probably not too far from you. But or I don't know. I'm not like I said, I don't know. But she had some recent pictures of her standing out there in the snow, whatever. So that's why I was assuming you guys were getting some snow, unless they were from back when you guys had the snow a couple weeks ago or whatever. But
yeah, it happened. It just happened again the other day, like a few days ago. But it was in the North Georgia mountains. It was elevation snow that happened a few days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, today I was out back. I stepped outside today, and it was like we reached about 60 degrees. I was outside in my t-shirt and my shorts and my sandals. It was comfortable outside today. I did some laundry, and I even put some what little bit of laundry I did do. They were out there on the clothesline out there, so I was like, it worked out pretty good today. So
it's been wildly radical. I'll say that, and just radical weather changes. But I mean, whatever. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, down here we really did not have a winter. I mean, maybe days of a 30-degree temperature, and everything is like spring. I mean, and that's going to affect our peach populations because they normally need a few amounts of cold weather, for the fruit to come out. So I'm kind of curious about what's going to happen with our fruit production here. So,
and if I can add something just real quick, I like what Baltimore said a couple minutes ago. You said about the unknowns, and I like. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I was getting some feedback. But anyways,
yeah, you were a little bit. That's why I keep muting you while they talk. So
sorry, it must be my. Let me turn this down and see if that helps. Does that help?
Yeah, you're fine right now. Yeah, you're good right now.
Okay. I have a question. Just like Baltimore said, the unknowns. My younger brother, he had a great question for me, and I have a question for you guys, all five of you guys, because it's an interesting question from my younger brother, and I like it because it'll add to what we're talking about now. Um, my younger brother had a great question. He says, just like the facts, like our government has
Eight
known
bones.
about prehistoric birds, and they've said, oh, they're extinct, but people are still finding these prehistoric birds. So the fact that they're still finding prehistoric birds, my brother said, if, and like my brother said, and I have my younger brother, he actually believes in Bigfoot. He believes he's a he's more into reptiles, but he likes everything in general: Bigfoot, ghosts, sharks, reptiles, and all that. But he does believe in Bigfoot too. But I like his question because he says, thinking about a Bigfoot, thinking about many different Bigfoots, whether they're ape-like, whether they're human-like, because if I believe in Bigfoot, so if there's a Bigfoot, there has to be different, like he said, there has to be different Bigfoots. There has to be half ape, half human, or hybrids, because they've intermingled with other species of different Bigfoots. So, like he says, thinking about all the Bigfoots, whether they're ape-like, whether they're human-like, whether they're cavemen-like, whether they're Neanderthal-like, he said, what if, and here's a great question. He said, what if we have been lied to? So here's the question. He said, what if we have been lied to about certain ape bones that our government has said they're ape bones? But my brother said, what if some of those bones are actually Bigfoot bones, but they're lying to cover it up and they're saying they're ape-like bones? So what is your thoughts on that? Do you think a government would cover up that and say it's ape bones, but it could be like, who knows, 60% Bigfoot?
Well, if I could chime in on that real brief, I know through some of my readings and studies and reading different scientific reports of different findings down in Texas many years ago, they've actually found remains of primate bones. And and then speaking of primate bones, actually more of not apes but monkeys. You know, basically like, and then let me jump ahead here, slightly moving off subject. As far as up in Alaska, and way up in Alaska to what do you call it? Yeah, just what, I can't remember. Yeah, whatever's north. Yeah, way up in northern Alaska and everything, where it's usually cold weather. They found signs up, of tropical palm trees, and but as far as them finding primate bones, that's been actually documented that they have found primate bones in the United States, mainly in Texas, through part of the article, whatever you call it, findings. And but my honest opinion, if and this is my thoughts. I can't prove it, but I do believe that the government is aware and does know of Bigfoot in general.
Mhm.
I would think that they would have to keep it quiet. If somebody in their family has some official that works for whatever department keeps that secret, maybe they might, but they won't say nothing. But again, you got to think of this. Let's say the government does know. Let's put it that way. If the government does know, the question is, would they share that information? My response would be no. Why? All right. Here's, we've discussed this in the past numerous times. If the government came out, did a breaking news broadcast on worldwide news. Bigfoot's always existed. We have evidence. We have bodies. Blah blah blah. You know, whatever they might come out and say. We've kept remains in our laboratories, in our in our vault, or whatever they do. But that would create some serious economic issues. Also,
Exactly.
some total chaos. Scaring people. People be scared. Oh no, we got these in our woods. I'm not going out there again. So think about what that's going to create. Again, as I mentioned, the economic issue. People are going to stop spending time going into the woods, to where they spend money to go out there and and do whatever. A lot of recreation spending will stop the season. Then Bigfoot. Okay, well, we got Bigfoot out there. We're gonna, if Bigfoot becomes declared an endangered species because of the industry that's still going on today, we could use a spotted owl that got discovered back in 1981 out there in Washington State. Remember what happened there? That put a major cease to logging, and because it was declared an endangered species right away. So you got to think of the consequences and the results. It's going to create a lot of issues. Again, panic, economic, whatever, chaos, and all kinds of craziness. Whatever you could think of your imagination is basically what could happen.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people want to declare it as a protected species, but
yeah, I say the same thing. As a matter of fact, when my younger brother asked me that question today, I told him, I says they would lose money for the logging industry, and they would also lose money for tourism. So tourists, people who explore and come to America and go to different countries, they would be very afraid if they would hear of a Bigfoot or Bigfoots. So like you said, it would create mass hysteria. So they kind of have to keep a hush hush.
Yeah.
I've touched on this before in the past on my show. I would say, first of all, the government doesn't know anything. So the United States government is the largest employer of in the United States. So not like just because you are in the government, you don't know. Well, there's no reason for you to know anything about Bigfoot, right? If you work in social security office, for example. So the main department to concentrate on any kind of knowledge of Bigfoot would be the Department of Interior in the United States government. And that would go down all the way to the boots on the ground. So I think there's an element of boots on the ground people in the Department of Interior that do know about these things. I seriously doubt that the Secretary of the Department of Interior knows anything about it. That's just my opinion. Why would he? Again, if you get a lot of people involved in knowledge, you're going to get leaks. You're going to get knowledge. People are going to start talking, But these guys that are out there that work for DNR, they work for wildlife management, BLM, what have you. If they know about these things, even on a micromanagement level, man, they have pensions. They have good careers, highly sought out careers. They make good money. Their pensions are really good. It's in their best interest to just not talk about them, or go public, let's say. But some people do. Some people actually do. So my opinion, again, is that when it comes to the government doesn't know anything about Bigfoot, nor would they even care. to know anything about it because our government's very, very bureaucratic, very political, especially these days, right? So, man, I'm just going to say this, be a fan of Trump or not. Do you think that Donald Trump, if he knew about Bigfoot, do you think he'd keep that quiet? No way. He would he'd be talking about it, whether you like the guy or not, man, he'd be like, hey, look, this Bigfoot's real, so he didn't know anything. So when it comes to the government, I don't think there's this giant body of our government that is covering anything up. To be honest with you, what I know about government, they're extremely incompetent. They don't know anything more than we know, as far as I'm concerned. I have no reason to believe otherwise. Given the nature of giant bureaucratic government. So that's my government rant when it comes to Bigfoot.
Well, about this too. A lot of scientific labs, a lot of universities that have scientific laboratories and forensic. A lot of them are government operated and government owned. I should say more that they are government funded as well. But here's another thing too. As mentioned in the chat, the one individual, keeping Bigfoot a mystery, keeping Bigfoot on the down low. As far as public acknowledgement is, they know, and so does everybody else that's involved with Bigfoot. You got Bigfoot museums, you got Bigfoot stores, Bigfoot restaurants now. The name Bigfoot's making money. And that's that. I can see that being absolutely true. So, everybody finds a way to make money off of Bigfoot, which I probably, more power to them. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Bigfoot's become a fun thing. It's been, we have our conventions that we put on every year, and I feel I can speak for everybody that does it. It's for fun, education, and gathering people, like-minded people together. I like gathering like-minded people together, and even the skeptics and non-believers. We've had at the last 2 years, we've had some non-believers and skeptics show up because they're curious. They want to see what it's about. Yeah. I've had locals telling me for my first, when I put on the first year event, when everybody was leaving after day 2, and I had a couple people walk up to me, a couple women. They're like, "This was awesome. I hope you keep doing this every year. We had a lot of fun. And these are people that, just local people, that enjoyed that, and to hear the speakers, they love to hear what the speakers had to say. And right. To me, that's a big part of it. They want to hear what they share. And, and I've had a couple people when I had time, when I got to stand at my table, I've had people come up, talk to me, ask me questions. And and I know Baltimore, he had to, and it's fun, because people, they want to share stuff, What's that, Baltimore?
Even today, I was in Chile, and I know that there's some ladies from the Cheese Squashers watching. And I talked to some people out there, and they said that they enjoyed the story in the paper and everything, and wanted to know when Jenna, the sheep squasher, was going to come back and do another investigation, and where we were going to go. And that's the very first time. That's the very first time that when Jenna came out, and the stuff from the paper came out, it was totally fascinating. And a lot of people were enthused by that. Because there's actually more researchers coming down over to B County to check that we could actually try to find, try to help me out to prove that this animal is real, and they enjoy that. And that was a communication today when I was at Chili's today. But again, it's up to the researchers, for us, just to keep it real, and to let the public be aware. He goes, hey, there is something in your woods. Not dangerous. He's been living out here for a very long time. He hasn't messed with nobody. And the best thing to do is just to leave it alone. And then if we want to, what we want to do here is that we want to pass a law, try to pass something, talk to our people in office here in B County, like that we could actually write something up like that we could protect the animal, but also research it as well. Actually trying to find out the truth about it. And then because the thing is, again, we don't want anybody shooting at it. We know that it's here. We know that it runs down these ranches or down the pipelines and everything. And all that we want to do is protect it. So many people now, are now starting now here. It's okay for people to come up there and tell their stories now because like that a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago, even recent as 5 years, people have been ridiculed about telling the stories about what they actually saw. But now it's like people are now here in town, they're actually talking freely about it. And I think that's wonderful. And the more that we talk about it, the more that like here in our panel, we're excellent researchers, and we just do our jobs, and we try to do it the best in our ability. And so that's why we need to get the public really aware of what we're doing.
What?
Absolutely.
I'd like to answer this question you have highlighted, Daniel.
Oh yeah, go ahead, because there's a part of this I could answer why I kept it up here so long. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pat.
I don't think the military as a whole knows anything. Now, maybe elements of the military in the past on their bases or wherever training, and like maybe military people have knowledge, but the military as a whole, again, it goes back to how things are done in this country and done in the world. Like, absolutely not. The military wouldn't know something like that as a whole and keep it from, I don't know, the government, which they're a part of, and that have authority from the executive branch of our government. So it's not. I guess it's not that simple. So like, I'm just trying to like steer people away from any kind of grandiose ideas that there's a million people out there that know about these things, and somehow they're keeping it from the other 350 million of us. Like that's just not that doesn't ever match with reality.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to say something just real quick, if I can.
Okay, it'll cost you $10, but go ahead. Knock.
Okay. Okay. Just real quick. Sorry for the. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay now.
Right.
Yeah.
Just talk through it. We'll get you.
Okay. Now this is just my opinion on it. I seen it online, but once again, what you see online may not always be true. So I know that. There was somebody that said it before, and I searched it on Google, but Google says that supposedly, I gotta search that again, but 1974 or 1964, it says that the Army Corps of Engineers acknowledged Bigfoot, but I would like to know if that was actually true or if that was made up. And then it said that they put it in the Atlas, the Washington Atlas put Bigfoot as endangered species, and if he was to shoot it, you would go to prison. But I would like to know.
It's not true.
I mean, I've seen this Atlas online, but I've actually called many colleges and I've asked them if they have a copy of that specific Atlas. Nobody has it. So it's like it doesn't exist.
It's just not true.
Let me make mention about that. Yeah, if you research the document of the Army Corps of Engineer, they did put something in there regarding Bigfoot, but it's not admitting that they acknowledge it. It was added in there as a kind of when they were putting that together. If you like I said, if you research this and looking, this is what you'll get a better explanation than what I'll probably tell you. It was put in there as more of a fun factor. It wasn't put in there as any serious documentation.
Right.
If that makes any sense. Yeah. So if you research and learn about that, you'll get better details. But it was not put in there as a fact. It was put in there in addition to more of a fun thing to do. So yeah.
And if I could say one more quick thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I would also like to know if it's true, because I've heard from many people that supposedly in the state of Georgia, if you shoot a Bigfoot, you would go to prison for it would be a felony. I would like to know if that's true.
No, it's not. I live in Georgia. That is not true. It's absolute bunk.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Now, places like Whitehall, New York, and different places, they actually put on their council, their local governments, and certain it's acknowledged as a species, but I don't think it's written to protect them. It's basically they're acknowledging the people. You get together, you meet up with a local meeting, town halls, and it gets approved upon, and it basically becomes it doesn't get put in as a document as an acknowledge that Bigfoot does exist here. Is basically all it is. It's not protecting them. So
yeah,
we got something here in Virginia, down
like
Norton,
Virginia.
Yeah, that's a
exactly
Norton, Virginia.
A municipality issue. And so, like in the state of in Washington, there's some municipalities that do the same thing, and even say it's illegal to kill one or whatever. But those are just municipalities. They can't. It has nothing to do with being a protected species or being on a federal list of endangered species. Nothing like that. It's just it's basically a goof. It's just almost a PR stunt for some of these places.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw in there regarding that question about the military knowing. Some individuals do know. I will use, for those who know Todd Neese, he's actually the host and organizer of Beachfoot. We've had him on our radio show. He is the founder of the American Primate Conservatory Group, and he exercise or workout. He actually acknowledged seeing, I believe he said 3 of them. I could be wrong, but I know he had he was an eyewitness on a job site, a military job site out in the woods, and he does recall seeing 3. He shared his encounter with us. So, but as an example for individuals, like kind of like what you were saying, Pat, like, but some do, some don't, so I'm sure he's not the only one that's out of the military that's actually had a witness something, but he did have an eyewitness account.
Exactly.
So, and for while I'm thinking, go ahead.
I just say, I guess my only point is like, just like general terms like the military and the government, I don't think they apply at all. Right. Like the military is in 2 million people. The government is 5 million people. Again, I'll just throw it out there, man. Whether you like the guy or not, do you think Donald Trump could keep his mouth shut about Bigfoot? I don't think so. Like, I seriously, So yeah, it's like I just don't want people to get steered in any kind of direction of thinking the government. And if you think the government knows anything about Bigfoot and you want to question them, I mean, go to your local congressman and just ask them. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like I guarantee you, they'll look at you like, I don't know anything about that. I mean, wow. Yeah. So I just don't think it's any large institutions out there that are government institutions that know anything about these things, man. Is my opinion.
Right. I'm in agreement with you. I have a friend of mine that's a scientist and is a very well-known scientist, and he's a good friend of mine. And I'm not even going to mention his name here on the show. But he told me something that really fascinated me. What he said. He told me in order for you to prove that Bigfoot is real, you prove that he's not, and that stuck in my head till this day. But for me, is that I know what I saw. Nobody's going to convince me otherwise that I saw it, what I saw, and it's going to be up to me in order for me to prove it that this thing is real. And then there's government. I mean, game wardens. I have some game wardens, that stop me and want to know the latest stories and everything like that. And I don't think even the game wardens, some of the game wardens, don't even know what a Bigfoot kill looks like, or exactly what it does out there, because they probably weren't trained, or maybe that people just made them not to be aware of certain things. If you ask a lot of game wardens say that this animal is not real. But there's so many people that have actually seen this animal. Let's say, for example, if I saw a jaguar here in B County, and then they're going to probably they're going to tell me no, because jaguars are not here.
Right.
Know what I saw. But again, it's totally up to us in order for you to do that. If I know that the jaguar is something, I got to find its tracks. I'm going to have to prove to other people, say, hey, look, you have to be aware about this. All that we're doing is just letting people be aware. Hey, these creatures are out there. So, again, game wardens, there's a lot of game wardens that come up there and say that, no, you just don't exist. They don't exist, or they laugh at you or whatever. But again, it's totally up to us to prove that this creature is real, and basically to prove that this creature is in this area. So, in our areas.
I agree. In our area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like your mountain lion example is a real life example of government officials will cover up the actual populations of mountain lions to they shouldn't do that, but they do it for whatever reason. They will cover up mountain lion activity, unfortunately, and I don't know why they do that, but it is very good analogy, I think.
Right. I got to tell this thing. One day there was a mountain lion and her cub around this community here in my hometown, and they actually brought a helicopter out there to check if they could find it through infrared.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when they did the circle around on the area, they actually saw something on the oak trees that really fascinated them, and they actually thought that they actually saw a man a big man on the tree, on top of a tree, at night, mind you.
Right.
So they did circling around there and everything like that, and went back to the area. Sucker's gone.
Yeah.
So, what was it? That's why I say, no. I mean, again, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So,
man in the tree at night, kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell you what, guys, this has been a great discussion. As much as I would love to go on, I want to kind of keep it fair, because I know Nikki's going live in another hour, and I know Jimmy's going to be a part of that as well. And we got a good chunk of viewers going on right now. We'll definitely pick this back up next Friday, as we do go live every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So for those who are listening now, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that little bell icon. That way you get the notification, because we do try to share. I know I do. I try to share this as much as possible before going live. So, but if you're subscribed, when we do go live, and if you check out the description, there's a link in the description. If you're viewing from the YouTube side, even on it's added in there as well. There is a link to Nikki Cologne's YouTube podcast with her and her sister, Sister Side Chat. They are going live at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they they will be going live 1 hour from now. So check that out. Nikki, do you want to throw anything in there about that?
Just that, like you said, we're going to be starting here at 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 11 Eastern. And tonight's topics are going to be psychic abilities and
bucket list.
Bucket lists. Yes. Bucket lists. That's what it was.
Right.
Awesome.
So it should be an interesting convo tonight. So be there.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Another thing, Jimmy, you go live too. Now, did you want to plug anything in to let the viewers know about anything?
I'll be starting the podcast back up next Saturday. So I'll be sending that out, letting everybody know what time. So I'll be having some fun with that.
Very cool.
Figured it was about time for me to start that back up. So
that's good, Jimmy. We need you back on the show. We need you back.
Yeah, everybody loves the podcast too. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Pat, are you officially starting the 8th objective back up?
Yeah, Squatch Talk.
Squatch Talk, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going by your YouTube name. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I might start a new page for Squatch Talk, but because it gets a little convoluted. But yeah, I started Squatch Talk back off with you, Daniel. That was my return to Squatch Talk. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna put together a very interesting show coming up soon. Might be a few guests before I do that, but very interesting panel dealing with some pretty serious current topical issues going on in the world of Squatch lately. Might be a little controversial. That's fine. Nothing too crazy. But
yeah.
But yeah.
Just from our podcast, since I already have over, I think, if I'm not mistaken, last time I looked, I had over 700. And we did that. What was it? That was last week. That was pretty good for your first show coming back.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. So yeah, Squatch Talk is back in full form, and we'll be having some guests, and like I said, a really interesting panel discussion one night eventually.
Awesome. And while I'm thinking of it, because go ahead. I'll finish that last. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who's that? Oh no, you're fine.
I just wanted to say something real quick. Speaking of Squatch Talk, what do you all think of BigfootSingles.com?
Oh my God.
Never
you start that up, Bobcat, and have fun with that.
I think it's a great idea. It's a money maker. Go for it, dude. Start it up.
Or
buy the domain.
Or Squatches.com. Yeah, SquatchSingles.com.
Yeah.
Do it. Go for it.
All right. You go ahead and start it up. You be the host of that. Just be committed to it and see what kind of response you get. You might get
a lot of fun.
Never mind. Yeah. You might get your one and only that you keep wanting. I'm not going to mention no names. The ones that the one you claim you're in love with. You want to take her from a certain somebody.
Yep.
Oh God. Okay, I think you better end it now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And real quick, I wanted to make mention the She Squatcher to a subscription challenge. They're in a kind of a race or a competition with somebody else. I'm not sure who the other person is. She Squatchers are trying to get a YouTube subscription challenge going. And if you're not subscribed to the She Squatchers on YouTube, Squatchers official. That's exactly how it's put. She Squatchers, all one word, and then official. So make sure you go to their page, check it out. They have a lot of great interviews with a lot of great guests. So make sure and subscribe to the She Squatchers Official. So remember, when you put in She Squatchers, it's all they have it put in as all one word, then the word official. Click the subscribe and tune in with them. So, and then don't forget, 11 p.m. tonight Eastern time. Jump on with Nikki Colon and her sister on Sister Side Chat. So till next Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be back. Boom. All right,
Peace.
Bigfoot Zone, actually. All right, guys. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Night.
Right.